Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. We are in our second week of Lent now and have gone through our first Sunday of Lent and our first sermon in our series, Witness at the Cross, where we talked about the bystanders, not standards, and the scoffers, and how so often we think we know more about what's going on than what we really do, that we feel very justified in our judgments of situations and people when often we have no idea what is really happening. And I think that was a lot of what was going on with the people who were a bit at a distance watching Jesus being crucified. And I think it's a good lesson for all of us in that as we go through our day-to-day lives, that so often when we look at other people, we think we have other people pegged so clearly, when in reality we have very little knowledge of what's going on in their life, of who they are, why they're making the choices they're making. And I think it would be good for all of us to always show a little bit of humility prior to making any sort of judgments about people, about situations, remembering that we only have part of the story. And that really our mode of operation should be to give things to God, to be in prayer, and to kind of put out, instead of judgment, to put out love. And so I'm excited. Excited maybe is not the right word. I'm grateful for this series. I know it's not an easy thing to dwell week after week on the crucifixion, but I do think it is a helpful thing for us in our discipleship, to find ourselves in these witnesses to the crucifixion, to put ourselves in the story a little bit, to understand a little bit more of what they were going through and how they understood what was happening, what it meant for them, because the reality is all of this has impact on who we are and what we believe and how we navigate our lives. And so often we spend our lives trying to avoid the hard things, trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid grief, trying to avoid hard realities because they're not fun to deal with, but it is our the promise that has been given us is that God is with us. This coming Sunday, we're going to be talking about the two men who were crucified alongside of Jesus. And it's a really powerful encounter that they have, and I'm really excited to get to dig into that with you this coming Sunday. We also have a couple things coming up this next week that I want to lift up and let you know about, and hopefully you can participate in as well. The first is Women's Night Out is happening this coming Thursday, March 20th. We're going to be doing a game night here at the church. That's kind of been our default meeting. We do other things as well, but it seems that game nights are really well received and fun, and so come next Thursday night at 6:30. Bring a snack if you'd like, a snack to share. If you have a favorite board game that you like to play, bring that as well. I've also been using it as an excuse. I love board games, to buy new ones to get to play, but I would love to play whatever your favorites are as well. And so that is happening. Again, that's just a time of fellowship. That is a time of just getting together and having a little bit of fun, getting to know one another. I'm a firm believer that being silly with people is one of the fastest ways to building genuine relationship, because there's a certain level of vulnerability in silliness. It was something that we sort of discovered as clergy when we would have during provisional time, we were required to do these retreats twice a year. And we started bringing board games and things because one of the things that we found was if we had fun together and were silly together, and the games that we loved the most were the ones that required you to be silly, like Cranium and oh, The ones that we loved the most were the ones that required you to be silly. Games like Cranium and oh, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think it starts with a Z, and I'm not coming up with it at the moment, but the sillier the better because um, silliness again is a vulnerability. And if we can be vulnerable with each other and being silly, it often led to much deeper connection with our fellow clergy. And I find that to be true across the board. If you are willing to be silly with someone, and they are willing to be silly with you, it creates a real genuine relationship. And I think, and that builds community. And I love our community here. And so that's why I like board games. And that's why I like this as one of our fellowship opportunities for our women. So, oh goodness. So that is next Thursday, March 20th at 6:30 here at the church. After the following day, we are going to be doing a rummage sale here at the church, and that is sponsored by our Bibles and Brews group. If you are unaware, we have a group that meets every other week called Bibles and Brews. It is a group that meets outside of the church. They meet downtown in Yankton, and they have a topic that they discuss every week. And it's been something that's been ongoing for a few years now, I think. And they have branched out and started to do mission work together, and they felt a desire to host a mission-oriented rummage sale, meaning that everything that is raised, the money that is raised from this rummage sale is going to be going toward one of our missions in the church, which is our Good Samaritan Fund. So let me talk a little bit about the Good Samaritan Fund and what it is and why we have it and what it gets used for. Our Good Samaritan Fund is a fund within the church. It's a part of our budget really that gets used to help emergency needs. We have some of it that is kind of designated toward people who are coming in that are outside of our church family who are in need of maybe food or gas money, or in some instances, a hotel night stay. Recently, we used the Good Samaritan Fund to purchase a couple pieces of furniture for a family here in Yankton from Habitat for Humanity, which I loved because I was like, double mission. Like we get to use our Good Samaritan Fund to not only support this family, but also to support the mission of Habitat for Humanity, which is another place that I love to support. So it has a variety of uses. We also use it for people within the church if they find themselves in a financial need. We've used it to help pay for things like a utility bill or something. We have many people, especially as the cost of things goes up, who are working, who are but barely making ends meet. And if there's an unexpected expense like a car breaking down, it can kind of throw everything off. And so then they come to the church and ask if we can help out. And because of our Good Samaritan Fund, oftentimes the answer is yes, we can help meet that need. And so all of the funds that are for this rummage sale will be going toward that fund to help, again, meet emergency needs. Now, I want to be clear that when people come in to us from other places, we always want to make sure that they are utilizing whatever resources are already available in Yankton. And so we are asking them, have you been to the contact center? If what they need is food, have you been there to there is resources there for food, there's resources there for many different things. We don't really see ourselves as providing a regular source of income or material goods to anybody. We're really meant to be a resource that is helping to fill gaps that aren't being met in Yankton. And the reality is there's a lot of places that are meeting needs in Yankton. And so one of the things we try to do is make sure that people are utilizing those first. And then if there's still a need above and beyond, that then we can support that in whatever way we can. And so we try to be very good stewards of what has been given us. We're not just sitting on money, but we're also not just giving it out willy-nilly. And someone can't come in week after week asking for help and help and help because then they're using that as part of their kind of budget for the month. And that's not what the Good Samaritan Fund is designed to do. If you remember the story of the Good Samaritan, right, it's someone who's in an emergency situation who then needs help to get out of that. And we understand that those times happen, those things happen. And so we do believe that it is right and appropriate to help meet those kinds of needs. Um, but we also believe it is right and appropriate that we help walk alongside people to get them to a place where they are able to make ends meet in some way or another. So I just wanted to offer, if you ever have questions about that, please let me know. If you are also ever in a situation where you maybe need an extra little bit of help, please again come talk to me, let me know. That is available. Things like paying for bills and things, again, it's not going to be like a month to month that we're able to do that. It's really more of a um, one-off kind of situation. But all of that being said, Bibles and Brews is putting on a rummage sale on the 21st of March, which is great because it's going to coincide with the beginning of the citywide cleanup that's happening. So it's a good time for you to be going through your stuff anyway. So they will accept donations here at the church. You can bring them the morning of Friday, March 21st. We really just don't have a lot of places to store things at the moment. And so that's part of that reason. But we can even try to get the church open a little bit early if you want to let us know that you're planning to. Maybe try to drop things off before you go to work. And then also they ask that if it's possible for you to pre-price things. And if you're really like, I don't know what this should sell for, just, best offer sort of situation. But that just helps to be able to get everything set up and ready to go because the rummage sale will start then Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so things that they are accepting, you can bring clothing. I think clothing's going to go like put it in a bag and you pay so much for the bag. So you don't have to pre-price clothing unless maybe it's something really special and you feel like that deserves something else. That would be an appropriate thing to do. But household goods, um, toys, there's a lot of things. I'm trying to just go through my own brain of like what I want to get rid of, which is probably a lot more than what my kids want me to get rid of. I did also suggest to our kids, come up with something that you don't play with anymore that you could offer to be on the rummage sale that another kid could find and treasure. So we've been having that conversation in our house of what that might be. And I'm really happy to say that my boys are starting to like, I really don't play with that thing anymore. Maybe that's what I could give. And I think those are really healthy and good conversations. And to remember that we don't have to hoard stuff, especially if we know that if we're not using it, there's no reason for us to keep it when someone else could be blessed by it. Um, One thing I will say is if you have a lot of children's clothes, we are also looking in April at doing a kids' clothing swap. And so if you're not quite ready to sort through kids' clothes, know that we have that coming up as well. That's something that we are working on getting organized. A kids' clothing swap. And so that would be one thing that, like I said, if you're not quite ready to have that ready to go by next week. You have a little bit more time, and then we'll get that information out to you then. But it's just a great opportunity again to spring cleaning, to purge a little bit, to get ready for the nicer weather, the new year, to have a little more space in your life and in your heart. I love getting rid of things. It is a joy for me. And so you can tell that I'm very excited about this. So that's happening next Friday and Saturday. The rummage sale will go Friday from 4 to 7 and Saturday 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And so again, if you want to help be a part of that, you want to help sort things on Friday, I'm sure that Bibles and Brews would love to have you come and to participate in that. But also just let people know we have posts up on our Facebook page. If you would be willing to share that so that people in your circles know about it, we would love to have that to let people know so that they can come and shop and again in doing so, support helping emergency needs here in our community and in our church. I also have learned that the youth group is looking at doing kind of a bake sale in conjunction with this rummage sale. And so even if you're like, I don't need more stuff, but maybe you need cookies, right? Because who doesn't? That is also happening, and I'm really proud of our youth for wanting and looking out for ways that they can partner with and contribute to serving our community. Also, don't forget, speaking of youth and opportunities to serve, one of our youth is currently doing a food drive for our homeless shelter, and that is Tyler Irwin. That is his confirmation project for this year. And so you can contribute non-perishable food items out on our mission table, I think for another week or so. I did speak with Bob Thuy, who is a regular volunteer down at Pathways, and one of he gave a list of items that would be really useful and items that are not as useful. And the one that that sticks out of my brain are the three things that he says they get way more of than what they need. They have plenty, and that is canned green beans, canned corn, and canned peas. They are very inexpensive, and it's often what people go to when they are donating non-perishable food items. But they're saying they have plenty of that. And so look at donating, if you really want to do like vegetables, do things like canned beans, like black beans, pinto beans, those kind of things. Also, they're really in need of like paper products, paper towels, toilet paper, paper plates, paper cup, things like that. That would be another really great option. But just kind of think outside of the box a little bit and maybe don't go for the cheapest thing, but go for things. What are things that you really use a lot of in your own shopping, in your own house? Because those are going to be the same kind of things that people really want. And so that is another great option for us to, again, be the hands and feet to live out our faith. Last night in youth group, as I mentioned earlier, I was arguing that I think this is something that our faith requires of us is to live it out, is to do something about it. Ephesians 2:10 says that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do. I think this was what that means, to do good works, to make the kingdom of God more visible and more present on earth as it is in heaven, right? That's what we pray in the Lord's Prayer. John Wesley, so I believe it's part of our Christian heritage, part of our calling as Christians, but also in our particular vein of Christianity in the United Methodist Church, John Wesley said, do all the good you can to all the people you can, at all the times you can, in all the places you can, as long as you ever can. Like that, we should always be seeking opportunity to do good in our church, in our community, in our families, and in the world. And so here are a few ways that you can do some good. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. It's good for the church. It's good for the community. And so I really hope that you take some time in the coming week to go through and find some things to donate. My challenge to you is if you are watching this, can you find at least 5 items? And not like I was going to throw it away, but like 5 things that you do not need, that you have not used, that you could bring to help support this rummage sale. And hey, maybe let me know. And in those 5 items, maybe I can give you a discount or something at the rummage sale. Come talk to me and say, I heard it on the podcast. Here's my 5 items. What kind of a discount can I get? I think I'm going to back that up. If you do that, I will personally provide you a discount for the rummage sale, meaning that I will pay the difference. Because I'm always curious about who's watching this podcast. I know that I can see numbers of how many people watch it, but I don't necessarily know who is watching the podcast. And so that's some of my way of finding out who watches it and who watches it through, and doesn't cut off at some point in the middle. But I hope as the weather starts to turn nicer here, as we look to kind of finishing up the school year, as we look to Easter and beyond. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already signed up for church camp, let's get that done. Let's get our kids going. Don't forget, they get that 50% scholarship. We also have additional scholarshiping available here in the church, as well as the conference. And so, again, I never want money to be the reason that a kid doesn't go to camp. Also, if you're looking at trying to figure out transportation, again, let me know, because maybe we can have more than one family going to the same camp and work through transportation in that way. So we definitely want to support you in that. So don't forget to get signed up for that as well. And then again, just a reminder, well, actually, maybe it's not a reminder. VBS is going to be happening in May this year rather than August. We're gonna kick off the summer with VBS this year, and so I'm really excited about that. I know that we're going to be turning our attention to that soon as well. And so lots of good things happening, lots and lots of good things happening, and praise God for it, right? Hope your Lent is going well. I hope that you have kind of settled on a Lenten practice for this year. I would love to hear about it. I've been working through the devotional by Kate Bowler, which has been really powerful. And then I've also been adding in that Lectio 365 app as well. And it's just been really good for my heart and soul. So I hope that you're finding something wonderful as well. So with that, can't wait to see you on Sunday in worship. And until next time, God bless. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.